Welcome into the SorareAndrews Podcast, brought to you by SorareData. I am Andrew Laird, head of content here at SorareData, joined as always by Andy Black. You can find me on Sorare as Lairdinho. Andy's at Black. That's what he has written down there. Andy, does it feel any different now that we're like officially a SorareData pod?
There's like a new logo, and yeah, everything's different. It's never going to be the same as it was before. Everything's different now.
I think the biggest thing that's going to be very different is I think we're actually going to stay on topic now.
Oh yeah, for sure. What is
that
topic, by the way?
I don't even remember what the topic was. Just to go in, I was talking to somebody about a podcast we did recently, and I was like, yeah, I just feel like we didn't really stay on the topic much. And he was like, do you listen to your podcast? Of course you didn't stay on your topic. That you guys don't know what staying on a topic is. And I'm like, all right, that's fair. You're right. I get it. But no, we do have a topic this week, sort of. It's about the video that we came out with earlier this week. Today's Tuesday. That we came out with yesterday about basically the viability of lineups without super rares in them for Rare Pro. And I know you said this to me in private, but I'm going to share it with everybody. You asked me not to publish the video until another month or so. And I'm sorry I ended up publishing it.
Yeah. By the way, that was a joke. But it did reveal a lot of information that I don't know that it was people didn't know this or didn't think this, but it definitely changed the way that I kind of thought about some different things. And really all comes back to what are the topic today of what are we trying to win. And I look at my gallery, my situation, and you got me thinking do I need the safety net of a tier 3? You have me really, really analyzing that thought, and it is likely to change the way I do some things.
Yeah, so I've been looking at this for a few weeks basically, and the absurd what feels like dead period in the schedule where you're just cleaning up, I'll note. But the data that I was looking at, I was like, people are going to think that either it's wrong or that it's not, that we're pushing people in a direction. But basically, when we, meaning SorareData, started coming out with these competition insights, basically those summaries of this is how many lineups there were and how many had DNPs and how many won rewards, whatever. Mm-hmm. So we did the Rare Pro one, and it's if you want to win in Rare Pro, you need super rares, because look at all of these lineups that win super rares, or that win with super rares. And the more we talked about it internally, it was wait a minute, this isn't what we should be looking at. Why don't we look at how many points it takes to win rewards? And we're okay, so we saw it, and you see the chart of how, week to week, how many points you need. And then someone was well, how many points does it take to do it in Rare? And you're oh, it's actually less in Rare Pro. You don't need the points. And so there was this feedback of well, if you score X number of points with a super rare, that's better than the rare. And it's it doesn't matter how many points you get from each spot. It's how many points did you score, and what does that qualify for in Rare and Rare Pro? And it was if you are playing for star and tier 1 cards, you don't need as many points in Rare Pro, even though you have the ability to use super rares. And it's not we're telling people to not use super rares in Rare Pro. And a 70-point Rare Pro, or a 70-point super rare is going to score more than a 70-point rare because you have the XP bonus. But the actual viability of 5 rare lineups is a lot higher than I think we thought. And I understand why you didn't want me to share that with people.
Should you do that though? Should I just go buy 5 rares and go compete in
All-Star
Pro?
Yeah, so the one point that somebody brought up to me was that the value of the last tier, star tier and tier 1s that you can win in Rare are actually more valuable than the ones in Rare Pro. And I haven't run the numbers on that, but just thinking of it, yes, the using the example from the video, I just have those numbers in my head. The 96th tier 1, or for 96th place you get the tier 1, so that's the last tier 1 in Rare Pro, is not going to be as valuable as the last tier 1 in Rare, because there were only 48 of them. And so you just have a much smaller pool of players that you're taking from Rare. But the problem is that you shouldn't be comparing the last tier 1 in Rare Pro to the last tier 1 in Rare, because for points wise, if you played that in Rare, you're winning a tier 2. The 96 tier 1 score gets you a tier 2 in Rare. So that's what you need to compare them to. So it's not like you can just say, oh, the tier 1s are more valuable in Rare, because there aren't as many of them. And it's well, yeah, but there are more in Rare Pro, and they're worth more than the tier 2s, usually at least, than what you'd win there. Does that make sense?
I guess. I also feel like there are so many variables here at play, like your gallery. Your gallery might not say right now, or might not fit play my best 5 cards in Rare Pro. It might still be better to play 2 lineups. If you kind of picking up what I'm saying, if I only have 10 cards and they're 2 good lineups, but I could make it a little bit better. If I could make the Rare Pro lineup a little bit better by moving some cards around, but then I can't play my Rare cards, should I do that?
Basically make your best lineup and put it in Rare Pro and not play a Rare lineup?
Yeah. I think you start creating a lot of weird scenarios, and I know we always talk about quality over quantity, but sometimes, I don't know, if it's 2 quality lineups, that why not play 2 lineups?
Because isn't that literally the definition of quantity over quality? Why not play 2 lineups?
Right, but the 2 lineups might both be very strong still. You might be looking at the difference between a Messi and a Osimhen or something. Should I not play one of those lineups?
I get that. I think it really depends also on what competition you're in. If you're in All-Star, that ETH threshold is such a nice thing to fall back on.
Yeah.
And when I was looking at all the numbers, I was well, it probably doesn't apply as much to the regions. That I'm guessing in the regions, people put their best lineups in Rare, and you won't be able to compete with those in Rare Pro, Challenger Europe Rare Pro. And it's not true. You can. It's just as it's almost exactly the same. And the numbers are even more staggering in terms of what cards have been won with 2 super rares, but you could have won them with 5 rares. I don't know. I want to at least say Happy New Year to everybody in the chat. I feel like we've ignored it, so I apologize for that.
Well, I actually like a couple of comments that kind of Josh and Mike have hinted at. What influence do you think that analysis will have on what's currently happening, and do you think that it could flip back to where it actually makes more sense to play the best lineup back in All-Star?
Well, yeah, no, it's funny because somebody said that, I think, in one of the comments of the video. And if you guys haven't seen the video and are watching this on YouTube, at least, the link to that video is in the description. And for those on the audio, there's actually an audio version of that video on the podcast feed, so you could just listen to that as well. But I think it's absolutely possible, and I think it's just up to all of us, meaning us as Sorare managers, to know when to switch back. That all of a sudden, if the lines start going the other way, and you're just oh, it's actually harder now in Rare Pro, then you just flip back to Rare. As simple as that. But I think there's just something fundamentally tough of I'm going to play my best lineup in the competition that offers fewer prizes.
Yeah. The weird part is too, it's like reverse engineering. It's like I need 360 points, and like that's what you need to accomplish or whatever. I'm just making up a number, but you're trying to get there, and it's like you don't know if that lineup's or this lineup or that lineup is going to actually get there. So it's like
Mhm.
still, I don't know. Still, it's a weird scenario, and I don't I don't know how much it'll affect the way that I play beyond another thing that you said to me, and it's regarding two specific regions,
Mhm.
um, Asia and actually America.
Mm.
You mentioned that you're not going to play, and I don't know if you were being serious or not, but you mentioned you're not going to play uh, Asia Pro this year, or
No,
no, you're
yeah.
not going to play Asia Rare.
Right.
Sorry,
Yep.
and you're going to play Asia. I can't talk. You're going to play Asia Rare Pro this year,
Yes.
and
I think so.
why is that?
Well, so I don't have like the best Asia cards. In fact, I have to buy a forward now because I have to. I don't have one basically. But the like I don't put enough effort into this is actually this sounds worse now that I'm actually saying this out loud. But I don't put enough effort into Asia where like I I need to win as many cards there as I can. And I know our friend Sean would like just kill me for that because it's like, well, if you're winning, and you can sell them and whatever. But like, I don't have like a super competitive Asia team, and I don't want to put the work in to get one. I don't want to put the ETH in to get one, really. But if I 1 week have the 5 guys that I put in and I hit the nuts, I don't want a tier two. Give me the star. And if the
Yeah,
star, if it's easier to do that in Rare Pro, like I, this, this sounds really arrogant, but I don't want to win tier three Asia cards. I don't want to
it
have
doesn't
to
sound
sell them
arrogant.
for,
Just that's your perspective. You don't want. That's
yeah,
not
I don't want to have to sell them for less
desirable.
than a threshold and then find out because of my lack of wanting to do the work that the guy is actually awesome and then he just starts
Yeah.
crushing. Like I would rather just compete for the better prizes with the least amount of effort. I said, as
Um,
soon as I started saying it, it sounded so bad.
I don't. I think it's fair. Like that's definitely my perspective. Where I don't like tier three Asian card is just going to be like cannon fodder into my lineups. Like I'll probably end up having to just sell it. And honestly, America is kind of the same way. Like you look at the really low end America cards. Um, I'm going to end up just selling them and using my really good players.
Sure.
I want to win those high end players. And if I want to win the high end players, I've got a better chance at doing that in I'm going to call it Division 3 because it's easier for me to say. So I'm going to do it in Division 3. And
Like a so rare boomer.
yeah, I know, right? So I think I'm going to be buying, and that doesn't mean I'm going to just submit rares though.
Right.
I'm going to fork over a little bit of money and I'm going to buy um maybe one super rare, maybe two, I don't know. But I'm going to compete in D3 because I really, what do I want to win? Not the tier 3 cards. I don't want to win the tier 3 cards. I want to win tier 2s and tier 1s and better. So, um I'm going to be
Yeah.
paying a little bit of money, I think.
No, I think that's a good point. And it's funny because uh, I'm looking at Champion Europe now in the complete opposite way. That I'm trying to, like, I just started playing Champion Europe
Mhm.
Rare. And I'm like, I'll take those tier three Champion Europe rares. Sure.
See, and that's where I'm at too. Like tier 3 champion Europe, I'm all about. Like
Yeah.
I'm happy to win those cards. Um Honestly, and challenger as well. You might get a nice young player that and or maybe not even a young player, but I've had a lot of tier 3 challengers turn good. So I've just had good experience with that. I know others have had good experience with like Kikuchi tier 3 Jimmer, but we can't all be like, you know, be like Jimmer.
No, no, we can't. Do you think so? It was interesting to me that you said that you're going to do it with America because, like, you have good America super rares.
Yeah.
Are you going to play them in D2 and win
No,
even worse?
I'm gonna prioritize like to a fault my D3. So if it means the Division 4 team, the rare team that I submit is just going to be like dead before
Hmm.
it even gets started, that's fine.
That's
I'm going to
okay.
make sure that rare pro team is solid.
Yeah. Okay. That's fair. And
Yeah, and I think that's the funny thing about this conversation is it doesn't even it's not even like don't use super rares and rare pro. That's not what you were trying to say.
no.
To me, like I've got cards to play in all these divisions. Like it's about prioritization, and I think that the outcome for like everyone after listening to that video is going to be different because for me it means one thing, for you it means something, for somebody that only has 7 cards, it might mean they're playing their best lineup in Rare Pro. It might
Right.
not, but it might.
Yeah, I think it goes to the whole like, would you rather, sporadically win tier ones or semi consistently win tier threes? And if like I think you just have to make your decision
Yeah.
based off of that.
Right.
And yeah, I mean my best super rares are MLS cards, so I'm obviously dying for MLS to come back. But like I won't be playing 5 rares in Rare Pro if I have the super rares to play them.
Yeah.
But I think what the other kind of question that it brings up is if you're somebody who's like, I'm going to spend up to get a super rare, or 2 super rares to get to Rare Pro, are you better off just buying elite rares instead? And I think the answer might be yes.
I don't know.
I actually think the only reason why the answer is not yes is because elite rares are still more expensive than middling super rares.
Yeah, like an elite. It depends on the region, the card, whatever. But I mean, if you're spending an ETH for an elite rare, and you can buy for 0.2 a really, like kind of like Alan mentioned here, a middling super rare with decisive upside, or even just like a defensive midfielder that is going to get you 50 points. Let's say he gets you 50 points with the bonus. I don't know what that ends up being, but like I don't know, for 0.2 compared to 1 ETH, it might make sense to buy the lower end super rare. I don't know. It depends on your gallery, your situation.
How many cards have you won with your Michael Bradley super rare?
That's a great question. I think it's probably low, but let's
Is it
go
0
look.
or is it...
No,
So like
I've won cards
Peyton,
with I've submitted in too many lineups to not win anything.
right? So Peyton's saying they'd rather the Yimmy Chara super rare over the Carlos Heel rare, which I think is just pure insanity.
I think that's insanity. Just the flexibility of the rare card is nice.
But even if you didn't have the flexibility, Carlos Heel is probably a bad example because he's literally the best card in the game.
You want to hear something
Meaning
sick?
for Americas. You've won 0 with Michael Bradley?
I've won 8 super rares with Michael Bradley.
That's
8
amazing.
super rares. 8 super rares. I've had them for 1 year.
I was going to say, were they all before game week, 140?
163 to 211.
That's pretty good.
Honestly, that blows my mind.
That blows my mind. I don't even have to look at mine. I know it's 0.
Yeah. He had a few good weeks early in the season.
Yeah, I got him late, so yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I still think you take Carlos Heel. Like he's like essentially the America's Morioka. Like he should. So the thing is that he should always be in Rare Pro. Like if you have Carlos Heel, you shouldn't be playing him in a rare lineup. I think you're like limiting your upside that way.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Mike
asked us if we're okay with tier 3 U23s. I certainly am.
Yeah.
I'll take those.
Yeah. And I think that that's kind of a little bit of a difference, like when you talk about Yimmy and Gil, because like age too, like when you look at those, like I don't know how old's Chara?
Yimmy's the younger one though.
Is he?
Yeah.
Yeah, Diego's like 35 or something.
Yeah. Diego looks like he's 22 though. Guy just
Yeah.
flies around the field.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think, yeah, I think the difficulty is, and that's actually going to break up a point I was going to make. I was listening. So I think the elite rares, if you have them, you're better using them than the middling super rares. But I was listening to another podcast recently, and I don't know which one it was, but they were talking about these types of super rares, and they were like, I think these super rares are like undervalued right now. I think people are overlooking them. Super rares being undervalued has been like a theme since I joined Sorare.
Yeah. I've always said it.
But
maybe it's not true. I don't know.
If they've been undervalued for more than a year, are they still undervalued? Like,
yeah.
I think that the undervaluedness of super rares is based like 99% on people thinking that D2 is going to get better. Sorry,
right.
Super rare division will get better, and they were like, so you just get in now,
right?
Like
they have to improve D2, right?
Right, and it's been a while, and even like before they like redid the rewards to make D. Well, at the time we thought it made D2 better and made D3 awful, and it turned out D3 was fine. But it was, oh yeah, there you go. Mike said,
I think I think I remember hearing him say that.
Yes, on John Nellis's Drunkcast, which if anybody has 2 hours and 45 minutes to kill, that is an excellent watch, at least for the first hour and a half that I've gotten through so far over the course of 4 days. But yeah, that's excellent. Definitely check that out. But yeah, like I've never once heard that super rares are appropriately valued or overvalued. They're just always undervalued. And
I think it's always the super rare holders that they're so undervalued right now. All the guys that have like more than 5 super rares,
right.
they're so undervalued right now.
And you're just gobbling them up to lose to 5 rare lineups in Rare Pro.
Yeah, actually, if I speak it, it'll come true.
It's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just think I don't know. So like that's the way. Like I've been looking for super rares, and this research didn't make me think I was necessarily making the wrong decision. But
I don't know. I've got an interesting one for you. Last night before I went to bed, I put in a 0.25 bid on Leon Flack. He's a guy that I've kind of like wanted to get for a while, and he's exactly what we're talking about. He's like a middling, except for he's U23, but
I was gonna say he's like 20 though.
Yeah, but he's just like defensive midfielder, doesn't get decisives, but he scores you 50 points a game. And unfortunately, like at some point in the night, somebody put one more bid on him, and I didn't get him. But like
I have his rare.
Is that the type of player though that you would want a super rare of?
Well, so like literally my super rares are those guys, other than one. Yeah. Like I have one good super rare, and it's right here in the video.
Yeah.
Albert Rusnak.
Should you sell Rusnak if he goes to Seattle?
I didn't consider it. I need him. Like I think I can win more with Rusnak than, although it's literally like 10x what I bought him.
Yeah.
Like I commented to somebody the other day, I'm just going to pat myself on the back for this purchase, that Rusnak rares are now twice as much as what I paid for the super rare. Makes me feel like one of the people that bought Morioka for like $8 2 years ago. It's not crazy. Quite that good. But yeah, like the super rares I have are literally these types of guys. I have Larius Mabiala, Osvaldo Alanis, Kellen Acosta. Like these guys aren't like lighting up the SO5. I have Michael Bradley. And like I'm going in thinking if I have a rare that's better than this, I should probably just play it. Like I think I've actually made worse lineups in the past because I feel the need to play 2 super rares.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure I have too. And that's kind of the other funny part of this conversation is like it could all be moot at some point. Like they may require the super rares at some point, or they may change the whatever in some way. But I guess we got to play the game with how it's presented to us right now.
Right.
So, yeah. Mike, no, I did not get a single offer on it, and it's relisted right now. If that's a card that you're interested in, Mike's asking about a Harrison Awful super rare that I own. Who now plays for, is it Charlotte? Is that right?
Yeah.
He's going to be like a backup there, I think. He's got a little red X on him, and I think that scares people off when he's in fact signed and on a roster. But that's a card I'll happily, like, if it never sells. I think I won something nice with it last year, and it was like bottom of the barrel, cheapest super rare that you could buy. So
Paid for itself.
yeah, sure.
Yeah, I think so. If those are the undervalued super rares, A, why is nobody buying your Harrison a full super rare? And B, if those are the cards we're looking for, right? Like, I don't get, like, and we're still not paying for them.
I think Harrison, Awful, I'm going to call him. I think the deal with him being a wingback is like, I think that is really, really risky and dangerous and can potentially be a bad thing for a super rare, because he can go out and score 15 points.
Yeah.
And bleh. I think that the appeal,
but it's really like 18 or 19 with the
with the bonus. I think the appeal of those like middling super rares is like that not going to kill your lineup factor, where I get it, he may not win you anything, but not going to kill your lineup, and you put the upside somewhere else. Harrison, man, he can just like kill your game week before it started by going out and scoring 9 points.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I also have always looked at quantity over quality when it comes to rewards. Like, I remember it was the day that we podcasted with Quinny.
Yeah.
And on this podcast, or a SorareAndrews podcast.
Yeah.
And I won a Bakai Dabasi super rare, like, during the podcast. You guys must have been talking, and I bid on it and I won it. And I've considered that card like important to my gallery, because like it allowed me to play Rare Pro, because I had that was a super rare. So I think that was my second super rare. So I was like, oh, I can play him, and I have my Rusnak, and now I can play. It was D3 at the time. So I just looked it up. Do you know how many rewards I've won with him?
My guess is none.
4.
Okay.
But I won Casper Shabilko a week after I bought him. Jefferson Savarino, who I sold for a quarter of an ETH. Guilherme, the first Guilherme that I won, not the goalie Guilherme, and Carlos Vela. And it's like, that seems good. Like, I guess this middling center back worked out.
Yeah.
But I played him a lot more than 4 times. Like,
right, but I mean, you're not expecting him to win every game week, right?
But like, is that what we like? The thing is that because I was playing, like, I was winning more often in rare, because there are more cards, so I was winning more tier 3s. So I think the other thing that, if people are going to move to Rare Pro, is you're not going to win it. Like, if you do win tier 3s, I don't want to say like every game week, but like enough, like, you're not going to win as many in Rare Pro. And I think that's like that's a huge part of this whole thing.
Yeah.
Like,
well,
what you win will be better.
I think too, there's going to be moments that you get tilted too, because you're going to have like a really good game week, but like, so does everybody else.
Yeah.
And you're going to score 400 points and not win anything. Where at least you would have pulled out a tier 3 or something in rare. Yeah.
That was a big thing I always joked with people in DFS, where somebody's like, oh, I scored all these points and I can't believe I didn't win. And it's like, this isn't a game about how many you can score. It's you got to score more than everybody else. And so, yes, you had a big week and everyone had a big week, and but it's true. Like, I think a lot of people look at when they like have a really high score in a region, and they're like, oh man, I would have been I could have podiumed in All-Star if I had just played my challenger lineup there. And nobody goes the other way, where like, oh, if I just played this rare pro lineup in rare, I would have won something. Instead,
Yeah.
I got nothing. And so, yeah, I think it's just a very different way of playing. If you normally play rare pro, rare,
Yeah.
and if you're, I don't know.
Thoughts on totally off the wall, but if I'm playing 5 rares in rare pro, but I happen to have a super rare goalkeeper, thoughts of super rare goalkeepers in rare pro?
Yeah, I think that's the best situation to not like adjust everything.
Yeah.
Like goalkeepers are the same. So like I mean they're not all the same, but they're basically all the same.
Yeah.
And so yeah. I also think it's weird though if you have just one super rare and it's a goalie.
I know. Well, I know that that's a strategy that Sam likes to use. Surface Terror Missile in chat. And like while we're continuing to talk here, if you want to type up like your reasoning behind that, I'd love to read it because I don't I don't know that it provides like a ton of like additional upside in your lineup, but I would if you're okay sharing it, I'd like to like read that and share it with the audience because I know that that's something you like to do.
But like ultimately you're not going to play like a worse matchup super rare just because it's a super rare.
Right. I mean, you're talking goalkeeper. I
Yeah.
think you're going to just still want to play your best matchup, but I think that there's a reason Sam plays the super goalkeeper in his Division 3 or Rare Pros. And I don't know exactly why that is.
While Sam writes that up for us so we can take credit for it. Bob Flynn was asking if we think the Nkosi Burgess super rare was a sneaky acquisition. I know that Burgess doesn't go by Burgess anymore. I forget what the situation was there. But I will say, Bob, that a friend of mine who just started he's going to start a new MLS-based Sorare content engine, I'll call it, called Major League Sorare, has one as well, possibly 2 of them. And when he does stuff, I pay attention to it. And so, yes, I think a Burgess Super Rare is good, only because Skylar Redpath also has one. And I love this comment from Yesway Jose. Judson Tavares was a good water carrier super rare last year. Goes and gets 55, heads home, back into bed, ready for his 52 next week. Yeah, I mean, I think that's fine. And I think you probably get that super rare for less than an elite rare. So that makes sense. Sure. But I don't know.
So Pap kind of agrees with Surface here. He says goalkeeper super rare and rare pro is a good strategy. A 60 is easy to achieve. To 80 with super rare. I don't know. I don't have good enough goalies to easily achieve 60 from my goalkeepers. Because I can't afford the elite super rares in many cases, but I can pretty much afford any rares. So lots of times my expected score is higher with a good rare goalkeeper or super rare goalkeeper and an elite rare. Okay. It's cheaper to buy an elite super rare goalkeeper. That's very certain. I think you're usually looking at like 2x the rare, maybe.
I was going to say
that
the price difference between rares to super rares in goalkeepers is much tighter than anything else.
Yeah, I think that that's good perspective.
Mm-hmm.
I really do. And it's something that I've kind of like maybe avoided or not done a lot of. Like I've done it out of necessity. Like I only have X number of lineups, and I have maybe one outfield player that's a super rare, but I have like a super rare goalkeeper. Then I might try to play those in D3, but it's usually like forced upon me, and I don't strategically try to do that. But
right.
Maybe that'll change my strategy there a little bit. I don't know.
There's nothing more I dislike about Sorare than having to buy a goalkeeper, and that's a rare one. Having to pay 2x for a super rare just kills me.
What's bizarre to me is like what I always hate is the fact that like I always feel like the super rares have less utility than the rares, and they kind of do. Like if you're not playing D1, then they definitely do. And 95% of users are not playing D1, so to most people they have less utility. And it just feels like you buy the super rare goalkeeper, you immediately can't use him in one of the divisions that you play all the time, and that's frustrating. But I think that there's good value there. Like we talk about it, like you're looking at like 2x sometimes of what the rare costs.
I mean, I played it was D2 back then, so I'll call it D2. But I played a little D2 before the MLS season ended, and I played with a rare goalkeeper, and my super rares weren't good enough. It's not like I was like a few points shy of, of getting something, but it did feel like, I guess the super rare goalie would help me out. I don't know.
I don't think that it makes as much of a difference there.
Yeah.
But I don't know. That'll be a fun little project for you to like run those numbers. Like look at the number of rares, and I think that you even mentioned that you were gonna maybe do that. Like look at the rares being played in Division 2, and then look at the uniques being played in Division 2, and seeing kind of how that shakes out. See what the data tells you.
Yeah, we posted something today about just this last game week, the one that ended today, to the Champion Europe one, and I think there were 10. If I remember correctly, there were 10 rewards in D2, and 4 of the 10 went to 5 super rare lineups, and then 2 each in the others. So basically, the 4 super rares and a rare, 4 super rares and a unique, and 3 super rares, a unique, and a rare. Each had 2.
That was kind of a weird game week, though, right?
Yes. And we're going to keep. This coming weekend should be better, but yeah, I'm guessing that these last couple game weeks are just going to be noise in the data for a while.
Right.
I like this, and perhaps when super rares are not undervalued anymore, the most margin can be made on goalies.
I do think that like
not undervalued.
I do think that there's like always that thing out there like that's kind of sitting in front of us where it's like we kind of see these scarcity based divisions, they're inching towards it, or at least it looks like they are with like the way the I don't know, the play pages. If they ever went to where like you couldn't play that scarcity under in the division, like if it were just a super rare division,
yep,
you got to think that the super rare goalkeepers like prices, I don't know, go up. If you can't play a rare goalkeeper there, right? I don't know. Not financial advice.
I actually wonder if the opposite happens, and that a lot of people sell out of super rares.
So they stop playing that division. That's a good point.
Like I don't know what I would do. I don't have enough super rares at this point, but
you wouldn't. That's not a division that you play in, anyways, right?
No, I mean I have enough MLS super rares to play, except for a goalie.
You'd buy a goalie, wouldn't you?
I would probably buy a goalie. The worst part is that I would buy a goalie, but like the super rares I have are not good enough.
Yeah.
So I would just be, I don't know. I really think that's a bad idea. Single scarcity. Like a really, really bad idea.
Yeah, well, I think that you might get single scarcity, but you might get like you might still have like the progression piece, but like the actual super rare division might just be all super rares. I don't know. Me speculating over here. But you might still have rare pro where you can play 1, 2 super rares, whatever. Yeah.
No, I think that's.
Do you think there'll always be an option to play the scarcity under in the rare will you be able to use limited, for instance?
What I think is weird is super rare now that you can use 3 scarcities.
Yeah,
that doesn't make sense to me. And so,
well, it could make sense if you just like applied that logic across the board. But I like the idea of everything being very uniform and like the same logic applied across like different scarcities. So that's like end goal. Like what I would love to see is like some uniformity across the board.
Totally agree with you, and I think that I think it's set up to do it. Like I think I mean, we see it with rare, like the rare and rare pro makes sense, and you can do it with limited. You just make limited and limited pro, and it allows you to use 2 rares. You know, you still have to play around with the XP bonuses and whatnot, but I don't think it makes a difference. And in super rare, like you have super rare where you can use a rare because you can always dip under, and then Super Rare Pro lets you use the uniques. I don't know, but I don't play up there, so I don't know like what that does to uniques, and I don't know if I really care.
Yeah,
As
I
someone who
agree,
doesn't have
Peyton.
any, and probably is not headed there ever. So
Peyton mentioned the common goalkeeper in rare as a legacy thing that is just odd, and they probably aren't entirely sure how to solve. I mean, I think that it just has to be a limited there, and like I get it, you're forcing people to spend some money, but I think that that's the obvious solution that they got to go towards. And I honestly, I'm baffled that it's not already done, but whatever.
it, I, oh man, it's crazy that you can still do it.
Yeah,
And even crazier is that they opened like the casual league to everybody again.
yeah.
Like somehow I still don't have an out. I'm like, feel like I'm the only person on the entire platform who doesn't have an ounce in common. Ugh.
Yeah, it is crazy how many people have that.
He's the most popular player in All Star Rare every week
Yeah.
by mounds, leaps and bounds more than everybody else. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, Sam says people need it for the threshold. I think people need to start buying goalies in limited, and then you can get your
Yeah,
threshold.
I agree.
I'm fine forcing them to do that.
All of us so rare boomers telling people that they got to buy goalies. But I think most people in chat kind of agree with that. I haven't seen anybody, I have yet to hear anybody say like that's outrageous. They shouldn't get rid of commons uh in the rare division or whatever. Like I haven't really heard anybody fight that. Like I think that if you made that one limited or something, I think it would just really make things make a lot more sense.
Especially because I assume that they give like more than enough lead time, and then you could just pile up your thresholds to buy your limited goalkeeper. I think price pressure on limited goalies is fine.
Yeah,
They got plenty of them.
they do.
There's so many. So many. Sam asked me if there were any things off limits that I wasn't allowed to talk about now that we're not associated with RotoWire. I don't think so. I feel like I wasn't really restricted before.
What about paywalls and
Like put some
uh
up. They're coming.
yeah.
One's coming. But that's news. We've announced that already. There's some cool stuff coming too, though.
So, with the news that you announced earlier this week, is there anything that you're doing to reshape your gallery beyond kind of your Asian strategy to kind of attack either All Star or Challenger Champion? Like you mentioned, you're happy to win tier threes and Champion,
Yeah,
which I agree. Me too.
I have recently tried to start playing Champion Europe, and it's been basically a disaster. But like any good Sorare manager, I just keep throwing money at it until it works. But none of the data that I looked at made me think I should play Rare Pro. Like none of it. Like I have a team built to compete for tier threes, and that's just what I'm going to have to do for a while.
You know, your experience with your Champion lineup has been like really interesting, and I think that it's like a good thing to share because I think that there's a lot of different perspectives on like your journey here, where you started off with 5 cards, and then I think somebody got COVID, somebody got suspended, somebody got hurt. You've had so many things, and now you're just like you. How many champion players do you have now?
Like 10, I think. Maybe. Might even be more.
And those aren't rewards; those are just you
No,
buying
no,
depth and adding on.
yeah, yes, that's just adding on.
It's just how hard it is to play this game with just like 5 guys.
Yeah,
You almost can't do
so
it.
totally. So I also picked arguably the worst time to start because they haven't played any games now. Like they're
Yeah.
these, like 1 week it's Serie A, and then the next week's La Liga, and Premier League seems to always be on, but we don't barely have any Premier League cards on the platform. And so I feel the worst part is that I've won enough. Excuse me, I've won nothing. I have bought enough cards that I feel like if I don't get them in lineups, it's just I'm burning money because it's like I bought these cards and I'm not using them. And so so I had my forward got hurt and then came back and just left for Africa Cup of Nations. So I bought another forward. Two of my midfielders got hurt, one of which I owned like before this, one of which was like a foundation of this plan. I was like, oh, I have this guy I'm not using in U23. Let me build a champion Europe team with him. So he got hurt. Then I bought the goalie, which was just like, I hate buying goalies. And then, and so then there's like an upcoming game week where La Liga's not playing. So my La Liga, so everyone else is playing except my goalie, and you can't not play a goalie.
Yeah.
So it's just like, it's been a,
why not just build a 5-man stack?
It's just, it's been a disaster.
That is like the I don't know, the biggest advantage I see with playing a stack is they all play at the same time.
Yeah, no, I get it. So I did consider that, and the team that I was going to stack doesn't have the goalie minted. So I was like, okay. And then another team I was going to stack has one really expensive center back, and then the other one hasn't been minted. Like I'm really good at finding teams that
like these little scenarios where you just can't get the whole thing.
Yeah, it's just weird too, because it's like teams that are being minted, and yet some guy that, like, there was who was it? Verona, maybe? Yeah, I think it was Verona. And they're not like a great defensive team, but like I was like, that's good. I can afford them.
Right.
And they minted both backup goalies, but not the starter, who has been starting for like 2 years. I'm just like, where's this guy's guy? There's a picture on the site. He's on SorareData. That like his face is there with the jersey,
but they just haven't printed the cards.
There's no cards yet. And the worst part is, at least when you go to like Serie A, is that so many of those teams are in bundles, and like I'm not in the business of buying bundles, and so now I have to like wait for somebody else to buy the bundle, post an expensive overpriced card, and then have to negotiate there.
And they're like, no, I bought the bundle for that guy.
Yeah, exactly. You could take the 4 crappy guys that I don't want, but Sam, to your question before about the SorareData roadmap, I don't think this is the place for it.
This isn't the platform for the.
I don't think this is the platform for it. There is a platform for it, and probably somebody more French that is better explaining that than me. But we'll do that for sure. That will be.
We can make one up right now on the spot.
We could. That's a good point.
Yeah.
That's a good point. But yeah, I think what is Bob saying? It always seems that people who win are on Twitter. Do you think that's an engagement thing? I think this was a big DFS thing too. People like love to post their huge winnings. And I think how do I put this nicely? Not nicely. Well, no. I think a lot of people share their winnings because they're happy.
Yes.
And they want to just show that they're happy. And I'm cool with that. But I see why it could rub some people the wrong way. Especially when someone's like, wow, look at this card I won that's worth $10,000. And these 5 cards that I bought 2 years ago for 85 cents that got me these cards. I get how that rubs people a little bit differently. But so that's the other thing. Yeah. That somebody brought up, that nobody posts how bad they do if they have a bad game week. Although I will say Zora posted recently that he had his 20 lineups and didn't win anything. So props to Zora for that. But yeah, I don't think people necessarily post to show off. I think it comes from a place of like, they're happy about it and they just want to show that they're happy about it. So that's all.
Yeah, I feel like when you if my take and take it as you will, but more along the lines of like, here are all the cards that I won, is more of like that, like, show off,
Yep.
whatever. And maybe posting your, hey, I got third place or whatever, I podium for the first time in however long.
Mm-hmm.
Like I feel like that's more of just like, yes, like that's more of like me exclaiming how happy I am. But honestly, people are going to do what people are going to do. And like that behavior is just like, I think a lot of times there's not like that. I don't want to say lack of self-awareness, but it's more along the lines of like you said, they're just really happy and
Mm-hmm.
they're proud of what they've done. And if you don't like it, block them, ignore them, whatever. But to me, I kind of have the same perspective as you, where it's like, that guy's just happy.
One of my favorite things is watching both Quinny and John Nellis when they do theirs. And the best part about it is, and they're both very open, when they win a reward and the like thing pops up and they're like, I have no idea who this guy is.
Yeah.
And the best is, and then it's like, all right, let me go over to SorareData, see what's up with it. And it happened to me recently that I won a tier 1 in Rare Pro with one super rare. It was that Mabiala, actually. Last game, it was the MLS Cup final. But I was like, oh, I won this guy. I've never heard of him, blah, blah, blah. And I look on SorareData, and he's worth like 0.25, and he crushes. And I'm like, oh, sweet. All right.
Yeah.
That's great. But yeah, it's like my favorite thing of like watching somebody be like so excited for their star reward or tier 1. And they're like, I've never heard of this player before in my entire life.
Yeah.
It's good content.
It definitely is.
Yeah. Yeah. Bob Flynn says it's okay to celebrate. I agree with Bob. But I also agree with you on the whole, like, look at the 17 cards I won this week. It's like,
Right. Yeah.
I would like to win 17 cards or whatever it is.
I'd like to play in 17 divisions in a game week.
Yeah, I looked at that the other day.
Yep.
Yeah. This is true. Nellis is the king of being underwhelmed when he pulls a reward. The MLS ones are the best. He's like, oh, it's an MLS card. Carlos Gil, never heard of him. And then he looks it up.
I embarrassingly won Giovanni Simeone.
Simeone.
Yeah, which I was like, oh, coach's son, because I knew that much at least, but I didn't know that he was having like a standout year or whatever. And we were talking the other night, and you were like, yeah, he's third in the league in goals. I'm like,
third
what?
in goals, yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, what? Really? Yeah, only Chiro and somebody else have more goals than him. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah,
I should be pretty happy about that.
You should be happy about that. You were like, oh, okay, insta-sell.
Right.
Yeah. Congrats on that one, by the way.
Yeah, that was nice.
So was that it was a super rare. That was your D2.
Yeah.
Was that All-Star or Champ Europe?
Champ Europe. And it was tier 2, which seems like a damn good tier 2.
That is a good tier 2. That was first place tier 2?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
But it was like one of those game weeks where I think there were 3 competitive lineups.
Right. Yeah. But the Hikimi was the star.
Right, that was All-Star.
Oh, okay. So why did you play? Oh, because it was only Champ Europe. That's right. Seems
right. So those were very different. Those were very different game weeks. The All-Star one was like I had the Mexican guys and mixed with like part of a challenger stack or something. I don't remember it was something like that.
That's a lineup that like Sorare should use in marketing material.
Yeah, like oh, you can use these guys. I don't know. I almost feel like Asian players or MLS players would be a good selling point there. And Peyton actually kind of mentioned the people sharing their rewards is maybe to promote the platform a little bit. And I think that people do that, and
sure,
there's certainly nothing wrong with it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I think I think you have to be careful though, like because you share, I've won 17 rewards this game week or whatever, and you have all these new players that might be struggling to just win one card. I think that there can be bad outcomes with that, or
Sure.
you can make a lot of people angry with you.
Well, yeah, because it's like, wow, that's really cool. Like, how do I do that? And you're like, oh, we'll just put in $250,000 and you can.
6 months ago.
Right. Right. But if you need any help, just let me know.
Right.
Yeah. No, I get that. Yeah. So are you going to, do you think you're going to play or not prioritize super rares in like more often in Rare Pro?
No. I don't think that it's going to change the. I don't think it's going to change maybe that as much. Like, if I still have like good super rares, I'm still gonna. I shouldn't even say good. Like those middling super. I don't have enough elite players to bounce my middle of the road super rares out.
Yep.
And I think it was Josh mentioned this in chat, like, I don't know, a page ago, but he plays like a lot of like defensive stacks with middle of the road super rares. I have like very similar strategies in my America side, where like my Columbus crew stack, which that was Harrison and Menza and Room, and it was a disaster this year just because they were a bad team.
Yeah.
But those are the types of things that I kind of tend to do, and I think that it can be a good strategy, especially if you run into a team that maybe keeps a couple clean sheets or whatever. And that, I mean, Columbus was just they couldn't defend, they couldn't attack, they couldn't do anything this year, and it just it's a team that won the league last year. You would think that they could have, I don't know, won me a couple game weeks, but is what it is.
My random MLS prediction for this podcast is that they are significantly better this year.
Yeah, I hope so.
That's all I got, though.
Yeah, but I think honestly, when we talk, taking that conversation back to Rare Pro, like I don't think that it's going to change like the way I play a ton in divisions where I already have my cards. Like I'm pretty well set up in other, like if I were starting fresh somewhere, it would definitely change things. Asia, where I'm not like I'm really low effort there, but I can kind of change things a little bit. I probably will purchase a super rare and try to make those really good, maybe not a really good lineup, but a better lineup for D3. And it's not so much because of what you published. It's more of what you told me, where I don't want to win those cards. What do I want to win? Do I want to win tier 3 Asians? No. Do I want to try to win tier 2s and tier 1s? Yeah. Well, then you have a better chance of doing that in, Rare Pro.
But why are you buying the super rare then?
Because I feel like I can get better value from that than buying the elite of the elite rares. Like it's either Kikuchi or, I don't know, some defensive midfielder. It's kind of what it's going to come down to me. And it's like, do you want to pay 0.2 or do you want to pay I don't know. What is Kikuchi? 1 ETH? 1.5 ETH?
No. Is he really that high?
I don't know. It's got to be high. Oh, man. We're both searching. Okay, maybe not.
Yeah, I didn't think it was that high. Yeah, 0.7. Okay. Kikuchi was like one of the first limiteds I bought. So I was like, oh, this guy's really
0.7. I don't know. Maybe it does make sense to buy Kikuchi.
I don't even think you need to pay that much. Nobody pays 0.7. 0.65. That's the price.
I think if I want them right now, it's probably 0.7.
Yes, if you want them right now.
Yeah.
Which haircut do you want, though? Sorry, I just noticed he had multiple year cards. Yeah, there's no way I'm buying Asia super rares to play Rare Pro.
Really?
Like, no way. Like yeah, no way. Like if I'm going to buy a super rare, I'm going to do it in a region that I want to prioritize. I just have enough. Like I used to play Asia seriously enough for me that I have the cards that I can play. Although I had a 5-man stack from Ulsan, and now only 2 guys are left on the team. But
It sounds like what I need to do is buy a super rare Asian goalkeeper.
That's an interesting.
I mean,
That's
after
right.
reading what these guys were saying, I would think that I could get some pretty extreme value on a 36-year-old super rare goalkeeper in Asia.
Right, who only has 20 years left.
Right.
Andy, that's interesting. It's too bad we're live streaming here and everybody else is listening to this, because I think that's an interesting idea.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna make your favorite stack of all time, the Tokyo stack, but I think I could still do it. Bottom table stack. But I would have to get the Slowick super rare now.
Correct.
As I wander over to SorareData and
right,
find out what that card might cost me.
As we both are. There's just, Sam brings it up. Like, there's just guys just stop playing randomly.
Yeah.
Like Takuto Hayashi, who I have the rare of, took over for Osako at the end of the season. So I have no idea if, I assume he doesn't start this year, but his super rare is 0.2.
Yeah.
Oh, 0.199. We got a little battle. That's fun. But yeah, I think the only way that you're getting somebody who's like locked in is getting Langerick.
Yeah.
That super rare is not. Don't you have his rare?
No.
Did you?
I did at one point. Yeah.
You used to. Yeah.
These Asian pictures are funny, like Slowick. And I don't know if you've seen any of the other ones where they're holding up the sign. It's almost like they're like a prisoner of war or something, like holding up like I don't know, do you see the sign in front of
on
them?
SorareData, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is funny. He's not even holding it, is he?
No, it's just like setting in front of him somehow.
Yeah. Ooh,
Mike, let's talk.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe. Like I said, I hate buying goalkeepers, and now the idea of buying a super rare Champion Asia goalkeeper is just, I'm like shuddering. Oh man, and Sorare Japan.
I gotta buy before he posts his
That's right.
his guide.
But then you also have to hope that whoever you bought is in the guide.
Right. Yeah, I think he's referring to Quinny. Quinny has a super rare Slowick. We're gonna go into some negotiations.
If he's had it for a while, good luck. Good luck. Quinny loves holding those cards.
Yeah, he's had it for a year.
Good luck.
Ooh, a goalkeeper that is captain in his club. I like it.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's
Man, Slowick's L5 is very appealing to me. 31.
So his rare is 0.2? They don't even have his team right. That's helpful. Yeah. Sam, I can assure you that Slowick will be the starter because I have Go Hatano. Just a stone cold lock that he gets that job.
Yeah, they have some strange rules though in I don't know about the J League, but I know the K League there was like a rule like you get an extra sub. Sam probably knows.
If
you get like an extra
sub. 23.
Yeah. So I don't know. It might make sense for some of these teams, like if they have like a serviceable U23 goalkeeper or whatever, to just plug them in there so they can take advantage of the rule.
Like the super rare trick, except with domestic soccer rules.
Yeah.
Amazingly, we've gone off topic. Actually, this probably isn't off topic.
No, it's not. We're talking about rare pro and super rare goalkeepers.
Yeah, you're right. This actually might be the most on topic we've ever been.
For a period, yeah.
Yeah. I'm just excited for this weekend to come back.
Yeah, do you have any exciting either lineups or teams or players that you're happy to get back?
My biggest sweat is going to be if this Porto match plays, because apparently their opponent has like 25 positive COVID cases.
Porto has a lot of COVID cases.
Pretty much everyone has a lot. I just hope they play and my two guys play. That's all I
Yeah.
need. But I was
Well,
looking to think like, should I just play those guys? Like I have no super rares right now. Should I just play those guys in Rare Pro and just hope for the best in like? I think the problem is that I enter like I don't put my best 5 rares in Rare Pro, but I put like a strong team in Rare where it's just harder to win cards overall. But I'm like, I'm like, oh, I can just, but I have the threshold. But I'm like, maybe I just throw in 5 clowns that can help me get the threshold, and then why not just do that? So I'm trying to figure that out.
yeah. Yeah, and we never really talked about that too much, but like when people are setting their lineups and like kind of bigger galleries like myself or Sam or I don't know who else in this chat. I think Josh has a pretty good sized gallery, but uh like kind of putting all the puzzle pieces together. Like when do you do your rare pro division? Do you do that before you do your division 2? Do you or
Right.
super rare division? Do you do that before you do your rare division? Like it sounds like the consensus is you do your rare pro first. I think that's what a lot of people do.
It's the easiest path to the best rewards,
Yeah.
unless you have a bunch of uniques, which we don't.
And I think the other reason you see a lot of like subpar super rares in there, and this is probably obvious, and I'm just repeating the obvious, but I have super rares. I feel obligated to use my super rares. If I don't use my super rares, I feel like I'm wasting them, and I shouldn't have bought them in the first place. So I play my super rares in that division, which may be incorrect. I might have a little better quality of a player or whatever that I could put in there, or a better matchup because matchups matter too. But there's this sense of obligation, like Chucky Lozano. I've got a super rare. He has not been scoring goals. He has been kind of just like I don't know. I don't want to say useless, but he has just not been great in
He's a
SO5.
lineup killer.
But I feel obligated to play him a lot of weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Where it's just like, oh, well, I have a forward spot open. Should I play this guy, Pinamani, or like a guy that's scoring goals, but he's not setting the world on fire either. But he's scoring goals, and I have his rare. Or should I play Chucky Lozano? It's like I end up playing Chucky for the upside. That's probably wrong.
There's nothing worse than putting a super rare in a training lineup.
Yeah.
Like, because it's not like you can be like, oh, I'll just throw in this lineup with 4 other rares. Because like if you already have a rare pro team, it's like, well, I can't make a lineup with this. You can't play it in rare. So yeah, no, I think I've definitely made some suboptimal decisions with my super rares just because I have them. And my guess is I will continue to do it, but I really hope I don't.
Yeah.
Exactly. I think, yeah. Misaki said it there. Biggest battle is picking a rare over a super rare in Rare Pro.
Yeah.
It's true. Absolutely true.
Agreed.
Yeah.
And then one last thing from Alan. If starting from scratch tomorrow, you have your threshold grinder team set, would you look to build a value stack with super rares in Rare Pro or look for a second rare team? My opinion is I would look at whatever I know best. So if I know America really well, or if I know Asia really well, and I can build, like, let's say I'm just an expert in Champion America.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I would bother trying to build a challenger rare team yet. I would go for the America rare pro team because that's what I know. So specialize in what you know first. Then again, if you feel like you're good in a lot of different regions, maybe you build outwards.
I think that's really smart.
They say like invest in what you know in, right? So
yeah.
It's kind of the same idea.
I think that was a really good answer. I wasn't going to come up with that right away. And I probably would have not done that, but I think that is the right year.
Yeah.
The right answer, excuse me.
Yeah, that's fair, Sam. Time of the year is important there too. Like if you want to always be playing, so I want to be playing throughout the year, 24/7, 365, then maybe you build another rare team in another region.
Right. Yeah, I like that. I like that. Well, we've gone a little long, although maybe it's not that long for this new SorareData hosted podcast. But
yeah, we can make all of the episodes or all of the podcasts exactly 1 hour and 10 minutes.
Yeah.
1 hour and 11 minutes, or longer, shorter.
Or not. Yeah, we can do whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll at least cut it off for today. So everyone in the chat, thank you for hanging out with us for this time. If you are catching up on the chat, catching up on the video, thank you for watching. If everybody could just like it below, that would be greatly appreciated. I assume everybody is already subscribed to the channel, but if you're not, please do so. That would be helpful as well. And if you're listening to the audio version of this podcast, if you could please rate and review it wherever you listen. I think it's available pretty much everywhere, so it definitely helps more people find out about the podcast if we get it rated and reviewed. So thank you for that. We'll be back next week with another topic that we don't have yet. So if anybody has something specific you want us to cover.
Julian Alvarez to Man United. We'll talk about that.
No. That can't happen. Please don't let that happen. But yeah, feel free to reach out to us. You can find me on Twitter at Andrew M. Laird. You can find Andy at ablack86, also available in the Sorare Discords by the names that are down there. I think it's Lairdinho on the Sorare Discord. It's Lairdinho or Andrew M. Laird. Andy is at Black, so just find them there. Andy, thanks for that, and I'll talk to you next week.
Sounds good. See you.